You're listening to the Kick Your Boots Up podcast, where we swap stories of the West. Whether you're just waking up or getting in for the day, come on in and kick your boots up. Joining us this week on the Kick Your Boots Up podcast is none other than Natalie Kovarik. Natalie, I'm honored personally to have you on. Your story's incredible. You're one of the hosts of the Discover Ag podcast, the founder of Elevate Ag. You are the face, the woman of Kovarik Cattle Company. You live in Nebraska. You wear all the many different hats, a super inspiring boss babe. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here today.
I am so honored to be here. I am in my Justin boots, so I feel like I could not be more prepared for this interview.
Yes, hopefully you'll channel the inner Justin for this.
Yes.
It's going to be fun. But before we get started, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and how you grew up and just how you got to where you are today. Just a brief elevator speech of yourself.
Yeah, I'd be honored. So, as you said, my name's Natalie Kovarik. I ranch in central Nebraska with my husband. We own and operate Kovarik Cattle Company, which is at our heart, I would say, cow-calf operation. But my husband is super passionate about genetics. And so we're also growing a registered herd of our own. I am a Nebraska transplant, so Midwest nice does not apply to me. I was actually born in Southwest Montana. I grew up on a ranch there. Like I think a lot of kids in agriculture, I had a really beautiful childhood on our family ranch, but my parents really encouraged all of us girls. I have 3 older sisters, and they encouraged all of us to kind of spread our wings. They wanted us to leave the ranch, go experience, get a degree outside of agriculture. That was important to them too. So I did that. I went to school for pharmacy, and that was my life for quite a while. I was practicing as a full-time pharmacist. I was living in a bigger city in Montana, which obviously is a very relative term. It's still probably a smaller city compared to other places, but I just wasn't on the ranch. I was very close to our family ranch. But I'll be honest when I say I never thought I would be where I am. I just didn't envision living on a ranch, marrying a rancher, and I definitely didn't envision my income being derived from ranching. So God had other plans, and thankfully he did. The man upstairs knows what he's doing when he brought me full circle. I met my husband at our family bull sale, and he bought a bull and he whisked me away and brought me down to Nebraska, where, like you said, we ranch, and then I also share online.
You have got to be the coolest. I have so many questions from that, but let's back up just a little bit and talk about the stuff that you do with your kids, because you get to be a mom and a rancher at the same time. And I think that's something that's underappreciated sometimes. Talk to us about the insides and outsides of that life.
Yes. So I have 3 boys, varying in age. My oldest is a teenager. I have a toddler, and then I have a 2-year-old. So not kind of a baby, kind of not. So we're in the woes of all the different stages. And like you said, it is, anyone who's been blessed to be a mother knows the joys of motherhood, but also it is a darn roller coaster. And I think one of the things a lot of people ask me what I love most about, living the ranch life or getting to be involved in agriculture. And immediately my heart always goes to the way I get to spend so much time with my family. And so our boys are with us a lot. And as you said, sometimes that is wonderful, and it's a fun day of choring, and we're out making memories, and the weather is warm, and they're behaving, and it's just idyllic. And other days, I think my husband is like, why are we all jammed in the Ranger? The kids are naughty. It's just not the best of days. But at the end of the day, I really, I just truly cannot imagine living, my life 24/7 a different way.
Oh, and you're owning it. I love on your Instagram bio how it says, if Yellowstone and Ralph Lauren were to have a kid, that would be you. And I think that's so funny and so true too. You live a very, very vastly different lifestyle than a lot of women out there. Tell us about what makes you you and what makes your life so different from everyone else, because it truly is.
It's funny when you grow up in agriculture or even small town, I feel like what you know is what you know, or what you see is what you know. And so I never really realized that we're living kind of this unique life, or we have this different perspective on life for actually quite a long time. I feel like even when you go to college in Montana, it's just a smaller state. It's a smaller community. And so, well, in size, it's a big state, but you know what I mean, population wise. So it took me a long time to realize that what we do get to live in this industry and the way I am living my life is different. And honestly, I think social media is what really shed light on how different, we're living life. But Yeah, as you said, I wear a lot of different hats. I've always, if you look at my Instagram page, kind of like you said, my bio, I'm trying to meld the beauty of the Western world, kind of my love for fashion and the creative side of me, the artistic eye that I like strive to bring to the platform, with, the truth of agriculture, the not so pretty side of it, the reality of agriculture. And also, advocating for the industry and kind of taking a more educational stance to kind of, hopefully connect to consumers or, just open the door to what I think they've lost, almost put a face to agriculture. I feel like when, people are out shopping, they don't think of the person behind the food anymore. And I hope that's what, my page and lifestyle shows is it just reminds them of the face, the person behind the food, because behind every piece of food, there's always a person, there's always a family.
Oh, yeah. You don't just go to the store and you don't just go to McDonald's and food magically appears. And I think you're doing a great job with that. But to kind of, I hate to ask you this question and be so cliche like everyone else probably is, but since you're from Montana and you grew up there, is your lifestyle growing up, was it anything like Yellowstone? Can you relate
No.
to Yellowstone at all?
So I will be honest, I've only watched 2 seasons of Yellowstone, the first two. Um, so I enjoy watching. When I did watch it, I enjoyed watching, and I do think they use the terms appropriately. They use a lot of the cities, the terminology appropriately. I think it was filmed in Utah, so unfortunately, a lot of the setting isn't Montana. But I am proud. I'm thankful, I guess, that Yellowstone is kind of opening the door and connecting so many people to make like Western cool again. So I never mind, as you know, it's in my bio. I never mind when people associate me with Yellowstone, but I don't know if there's like major parallels.
I'm glad we cleared that up, that we needed some clarity there.
Yeah.
And kind of moving on through that, though, you mentioned before that people don't know where their meat comes from. And because of that, you mentioned the person. There's joys and discomforts. There's highs and lows in the agriculture industry. And let's shed a light on that for a second, because it's very important to me and very important to you as a passion that the world knows that people work hard for this lifestyle and it's a privilege.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is often overlooked, and I think even within the industry, we just move past it so quickly of because it's our reality, so we accept it. But one thing I try to open up the door to or shed light on, like you said, is I think the reality of agriculture and how hard it is as an industry to be tied to something that is really out of your control. So every day we wake up and Mother Nature is out of our control. We don't know what she's going to do to make our day better or worse. When we deal with pricing, we are price takers, not makers. And so dealing with like market prices is really stressful. I mean, there's so many variables within the agriculture industry that is truly out of our control as a farmer and rancher. Which is why I think mental health is such an issue in the industry. And so I really try to shed light on that and let people know, like you said, when it comes to our food and the person behind it, here's kind of what they deal with. Yeah, I think people know that farmers work hard, but do they think about, what happens when the rain comes or what happens when we're in a drought, like what that actually does to our crop? Or our cattle. And then in turn, when you think about the cattle and the crops, what does that actually do to our paycheck at the end of the year or the sale we're going to have or the prices we get when it comes to the markets? And so I think I try and shed light on like the many variables that make up the agriculture industry because I think people just kind of streamline it and make it very black and white. Like a farmer and rancher is this person and they do this and then we get food. Like it's very simple and agriculture is just complex. It's like a spider web of things.
Oh, yeah, truly is. And since you're such a pro in your field, I've got to ask, how do you like your steak cooked?
Oh, I am going to be one of those people that like should lie to answer. But I don't even go medium. I usually go medium well. Sometimes if I know I'm at the right place, I'll go medium, but I wish I was cool and ordered it, like medium rare, like, good ranchers do, but I'm a terrible example of how you should order your steak.
Hey, that's okay. We'll give you some grace. You mentioned that it's really hard in the mental health aspect. I want to touch a little bit more on that because mental health is important in the world, let alone the industry. And I would assume as a mom, it's challenging as well, just kind of balancing it all. So talk about the mental health side of the industry.
Yeah, I feel like I'm very fortunate. My husband and I have a very good relationship, and I think we lean on each other a lot, and that really helps. Like I said, battling all the different things that come. So I preach, or I hope that people will find that person in their life, whether it is their spouse or a friend or a parent or a sibling, someone they can lean on during those stressful times in, the year that they're having. Because I think, like you said, agriculture, it's just full of up and downs. And I think one of the things that helps get you through, whether you're in the industry or not, really is human connection and relationships. And so we definitely struggle, but I feel like my husband and I really lean on each other when we're having bad days or hard times. And I think that really, really makes a difference.
Community is important. And enough about the negative stuff. I've got to know, what are the highlights? What's the most rewarding part of the lifestyle that you live?
Yeah, I mean, I alluded to it earlier. One thing I always say is getting to raise my children and spend so much time with them. We're in calving season right now. And just the other day, we had to tube a calf, and I had my baby, my 2-year-old with us, and he wanted to help dad. And so he was out there kind of holding, the bag and helping my husband feed the calf, tube him. And that moment will stick with me. I just thought, man, ranch and farm kids, they get to live, they get to life, like really experience it. They're in it. They're in the dirt. They're in with the animals. They understand the life cycle. I feel like their eyes are just open to a lot at such a young age, and so much throughout the years that honestly, I think a lot of adults don't even get to experience or understand. And so I'm very grateful from the motherhood aspect. I also think it's really cool. I'll be very honest. I am not one of those like diehard cow loving girls. I know there are women out there that just love their cattle. That's my husband on our operation. And it is really, really cool to be around someone who is so passionate about what he does. It's infectious, and it's really cool to live our life, doing something that, I say we're passionate about. I'm passionate about because he so is. It's so hard to be around someone and not have that be contagious and infectious. And so I just feel really honored that we like wake up excited to do. Some days we don't, obviously, but for the most part, I just don't think him and I could envision doing anything differently. And I think that's really a blessing, big, big blessing at the end of the day.
Oh, yeah, and anyone who's followed you knows that you balance it so well. You're a great wife, great mom, and I'm not just saying that. I've seen it, and I look up to you as a wife myself, but then also as a future mom in the future. I'm not saying anything yet, but just I have plans of a family. No. But I do. I look up to you, and I definitely think like, wow, that's really cool. I want my kids to be hands on like that. I want them to do this. I want to let them ride the ponies. Do all the things. So I appreciate everything that you do as a woman in the industry to add the feminine touch to the ag lifestyle. It just makes all the difference. But another hat that you wear, we're going to switch gears just a little bit and talk about the businesswoman side of you. You have a lot going on. Obviously, I mentioned very briefly before your Discover Ag podcast, but I'm really interested in Elevate Ag. You've created this community, and just tell us all about what it is and what it does and the importance of it.
Yeah, so I was not one of those little girls that had the entrepreneur spirit. I'm always jealous when I hear women that were like, I was selling lemonade at age 5. I was, selling back my erasers at school. I don't know, the weird stories women have of how they just were so drawn to business. But so I'm finding my way now, and it is very fulfilling to recognize that I have kind of that entrepreneur spirit that I think I've always kind of envied in other women that I didn't really realize I had in myself. So for everyone listening, it's probably in you too. You just need to nurture that seed a little bit, take the chance to start. So Elevate Ag, as you said, is an online course that I created with my business partner. It's a course and community. It teaches farmers and ranchers how to use social media as a marketing tool, whether that's to promote themselves or their business or the industry, their ag story. I started sharing online, 5-6 years ago, almost now. And back then there was and even now it's really hard to find resources. There's nowhere to go to, how to sell my direct to consumer beef. How do I promote my small business online? All these things, how do I advocate for the industry? And my business partner and I felt like we went to every single ag conference there was. And it was always like, farmers and ranchers, you have a story to tell. Go share it. That's what we need to be doing. And then it was kind of like, how do I share my story? What is my story? All these questions came after that. And so we just recognized through our experience of sharing online that we could really offer a lot of help and resources and guidance to people that kind of wanted to come behind us in our, wake. And so I never wanted to gatekeep. I have learned a lot of lessons and I have done a lot of things right. And so I thought, I need to get this together. I had been hosting in-person retreats for women, but that's very, micro of how many women could attend and who could leave their operations and, who could afford the price point of an in-person. And I thought, gosh, we just need to get this consolidated into an online place where everyone could have access to it and they could, learn while they're, at night after the kids have gone to bed or, while they're at school or whatever the scenario is. And so we created Elevate Ag, which, again, has a Facebook paired to it for a community aspect, because I really believe, especially when it comes to the online world, there is nothing better than a business like buddy, like someone you can go to, social media is just a different ball of game of business. And so having that like-minded place to go to find other people is really important. So there's the online course and then the Facebook community paired with it.
Very, very good. And that kind of goes into and falls into a little bit for your Discover Ag podcast. You get to talk about the real life day-to-day of ag, and tell us about that too, because obviously if we're listening to this podcast, we want to go listen to yours.
Yes, I would love it for everyone who is listening right now. Hop on over to Discover Ag. We're on all the podcasting platforms. Again, it is my same business partner that started Elevate Ag with me. Her name's Tara. She's a dairy farmer in New Mexico. We started our podcast last year, so it's about a year old. If you scroll all the way back to the very beginning episodes, you will see that it is different than what we are sharing now. It actually was designed or intended or launched, like its origin story was to pair with the online course. We thought, what a great way to offer, free advice for people who can't monetarily invest into our course. We'll start sharing stuff on the podcast. Well, you podcast every single week. And if you are going to show up to something every single week, you learn that you need to be really, really passionate about it and really, really want to talk about it. And not that I'm not passionate about online business. I could talk your ear off about how to properly use social media. But I also just felt there was like more that I wanted to talk about. Like I wanted to use my voice in a more deeper, meaningful way. And one thing we noticed is women were always asking us more questions just about like kind of our life and the ranch and the ag and what we thought about different things. And so what we did partway through the podcast was introduce twice a week episodes where once a week we would do kind of the social media business episodes. And then the other day a week, we would do these candid conversations where Tara and I would sit down and we talk about different things. And if you look at our back-end analytics, we realized really quickly that is what people wanted to hear from us. And we realized really, really quickly on the front end that was actually what lit us up more. And so we evolved that into what it is now. We rebranded it as the Discover Ag. We're pairing it with a docuseries that we're filming right now. And we really just want to, you kind of said it earlier, but we want to bring a female aspect to agriculture. We want to make agriculture relatable again. We want to make it sexy and fun and exciting again. And so we pick trending topics in the news and we break them down, giving our opinions that are, two millennial women. And so it's fun, it's different, but it's a kind of an ag news source, but it's my favorite. It's what I'm devoting a lot of my energy into in 2023. I'm really obsessed with the podcasting platform.
Good for you. And it's very interesting. I do encourage everyone to go out and listen. I know I learned so much too. And I enjoy you guys talking. Your banter, your relationship is so fun. You guys are lively women. And to me, I feel like I learned something every episode. So that's very fun as well. But unfortunately, we're out of time. So before we go, I want everyone out there to get a chance to follow you, go to your website. So plug yourself away. Where can we find you? Where can we invest in your class? All of it.
Well, thank you. So my home base is Instagram. It's always been my home platform. It's just my name, Natalie Kovarik. From there, you can kind of find everything. If you're interested in learning through Elevate Ag, that's our website, elevateyouragstory.com. And again, if you're our podcast junkie, kind of like I am, I would love it if you would hop over to our podcast, Discover Ag.
Very nice. Natalie, thank you for taking the time out of your busy mom, work, ranch life schedule to join us. I've learned so much. It's been good at getting to hear the story from your perspective. And I just wish you all the best in everything that you do in the future.
Thank you so much. It's a joy to be part of the Justin family.
Thanks for joining us on Kick Your Boots Up. I'm your host, Taylor McAdams, and we can't wait to share the next story of the West. Until then, feel free to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Follow us on social media at Justin Boots to keep up with our next episode. And we'll see you the next